Although we are active Church of Satan members, we do not speak in their behalf. The following contains language in an adult manner and poorly impersonated celebrity voices. Listener discretion is advised.
This is the High Priestess of the Church of Satan, and if you miss one episode of The Devil You Know, you're going to heaven.
Right, everybody. I am John Shaw, and I'm with Dorian Gray here, the co-host of The Devil You Know, as you
What's
know.
up?
Yeah. It is episode 5, Dorian.
Hell yeah, man. Going good. Going strong.
Nice. Ever forward.
It's like satanic Viagra. Getting stronger.
Nice. I don't even know what to say to that. That's awesome. So, how was your holiday, man? Halloween? What'd you do?
You know what? Not a lot. I worked.
That's right.
And I watched other people walk past. But, the wife took the little one out, so I got some candy. And I did watch...
Yeah.
I watched Svengoolie and watched the original Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite horror movies. So yeah. What about you?
I did what we do for the past couple of years now is Marilyn. I get in my robe. Sometimes she wears her robe, sometimes not. But I'll put on my wig of long black hair, and I go out as Zoth Omog. So no, I'm kidding. I sit outside. Sorry, Zoth. I go out there. It's awesome. He's awesome. And we get our wine, and we just sit out in our driveway there behind the cars, and people just walk by. There's a DJ across the street, and he's out there pumping the corniest music that you can think of every year. Same music, and he even starts to cycle around through it within the same night. In a way, I understand, because some people are flowing through the neighborhood and they're not hearing that stupid song.
Yeah.
What's that one? I like to move it.
Oh, God. Really?
I'd like to shoot it. I'm telling you, dude.
How is that Halloween?
I don't. That's what Marlene says. She's like, "What is going? What about blasting like spooky music? I mean, this is loud enough for you to hear at least 2 or 3 neighborhoods away. Like, it's loud, and it's every year, so nobody cares. They love it, and there's at least 200 to 300 people in front of my house, and and we're out there drinking our wine, and I got this little annoying throat thing going on right now, so I'm taking shots of Fireball." And just having a good time, and it's cool. Just handing out candy to the kids, and they cleared us out, man. We had none. I had to wait for the kids to come home with whatever they had, I mean, Gabby went out and went to a party with her friends and stuff, and didn't bring any candy home, But Jasmine went out with her friend, right? Well, she's almost 18. She's out doing her own thing, which is cool. But Jasmine dressed up and went around the neighborhood and got a big bag of candy. So we're chomping on that all day. I feel sick.
Nice.
Can't wait till tomorrow. Yeah.
See lots of costumes?
Yes. I mean, I love it. Even the adults, they're out there running around and, with their kids, and they're dressed up too. And a lot of them are parents of younger children. So they're kind of young themselves. So you see these hot moms dressed as these witches and stuff walking around. It's pretty cool aesthetically,
Of course.
It's nice to see, people pretend to be something that they're not. It's really cool. Oh, you know what? Speaking of people pretending to be something that they're not,
tell.
Did you read that article? Some article here. Let me just try. It's somewhere on here. Like, I should have been ready. Way to go. But you know how we are. We just wing it.
It has some pseudos.
By someone called Greg Stevens. It was called "When Satanism Met the Internet." It's on Breitbart, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Breitbart.com.
I believe Jimmy Gunn sent me that one.
Yeah, that's how I found out too. He sent it to me. So I read it, and it's really kind of cool, and in some parts aren't, and everything, of course, because you get to the Pseudos, but it's really nice to see him include words from our high priest, Magus Peter Gilmore, setting the record straight about these people and their frivolous and ridiculous actions that they try to do.
Yeah. It gets annoying, and I mean, obviously, we talk about them. We've yet to name specifics, and that's on purpose. We have John and I have both agreed that we're not gonna give these people a name. You know, they make the news from stupid shit, and we're not gonna say the name, but it's just pseudos. They're all pseudos are the same. Yeah, they're all the same.
Yeah, LeVay used the word nuts, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't. You know, let's just keep it a little better by calling them pseudos. Everybody understands it. It's just great when you see things that Peter Gilmore said. He talks about like satanic political activism. It's important to note that Satanism is not a cause. Rather, it is a set of principles that serve as a tool for each Satanist to get the most out of life. So activism in the name of Satanism is meaningless. And it's it amazes me that they just don't get it,
No.
Or as Adam Campbell would say, it pisses me off to no fucking end that these people don't fucking get it. That was my Adam Campbell
close,
impression.
Man. You're pretty close, yeah.
Oh, like I love when he rages. Yeah. So it's fucking
Yeah, I think activism. I mean, is especially in the name of Satanism. I mean, it's such a desperate and pathetic. It's the same as proselytization. It's a sign of weakness to go out and say, I need more people to see me doing things and to join my side so that I don't seem that fucking crazy. I don't understand sometimes. I get that they want to make a point sometimes, but they have taken something that, I guess what's funny about it is like people can do whatever atrocities they want in other names, and we don't really care. Like, I don't give a fuck. You have nothing. But they steal something. The one thing that is really important to us, the title of Satanist.
Yeah.
And they use that to, and they claim to have it based in something that Anton LaVey actually said, but yet they do the exact opposite, and these desperate acts of looking for attention.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of. I mean, it's just so shallow, but it reminds me of during the '80s, the Satanic Panic thing. It's something like this. I believe it's just going to be short-lived. People, they think they're hurting these pseudos, or they think they're hurting the church or hurting real Satanists by what they're doing, but they're not. They're just proving our fucking points about them and about Satanism in as a whole with their actions.
Exactly.
So they're actually shedding more light on what Satanism really is. It's not activism, it's a religion, it's a philosophy, and they're I don't know, it pisses me off. It just pisses me off, dude.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I agree. I don't even want to give them credit by saying, because like you can read the article and go, yeah, I've heard the name of this organization before, but that's why I don't even want to give them a name on here, because as far as I'm concerned, and I've said this before, I just lump them all in as goths gone wild.
Yeah, it's as dumb as I heard someone wanted to write a book about Satanism, and they've only been in or considered themselves a Satanist for about a year or something. I heard some.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
that's kind of that's shaky ground there.
Really? Yeah. I guess these pseudos show up. They showed up at a high school football game to protest the pre-game prayer. What?
What the fuck?
What?
Which, okay, for one thing,
even if they put all of their brain cells together, wouldn't they go, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what? I don't get it.
Here's aside from the fact that it has nothing to do with us and they're using the name, here's my issue with that is that Christianity on its own is collapsing, and people are leaving in droves and droves. Yeah. And this is documented, and when a group of these pseudos, who maybe they think their ultimate goal is to do something against Christianity, when they show up at this event to protest this, they actually are strengthening that religion, because all those people in the stands who didn't really care that much and they're there to watch the football game and support the football. They didn't care about the prayer. Maybe they weren't really into it, but they didn't care about it. If they're there to watch the football game. And then these guys show up to protest it. Suddenly, these people who didn't care or could do without it, suddenly they're going to back the football players in the prayer, the Christian, and whatever. And then they're going to go out and go, they were Satanists, and that's us, not them, not those assholes.
Just pick a different name. What's the problem? Devil worshiper, because you're obviously not following the tenets of Satanism, or anti-Christian, or whatever you are. Just
because that's what they are. They're just trying to be the reverse of that, and they're trying to get attention. It's sickening. It's old.
Yeah.
Over.
So is this conversation about them. So let's cut
Fuck
off
them
right there.
Fuck them. All right.
All set.
All right. So it's that time again. John, it just seems like their favorite part of the show has been every time we talk with Mr. Christopher Walken.
Christopher, right?
Mr. Christopher, that's right. Yeah. So
Hello, gentlemen. It's good to be here.
Yeah. What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Yeah, how you been?
I've been bad. I had an emergency today.
Oh shit!
I poured a bowl of cereal, and I went to the fridge, and damn it, I'm out of soy milk. A trip to Trader Joe's is in my immediate future.
Okay.
I could try to put water on it, but it's terrible. It's terrible.
Water on your cereal. Yeah, that
doesn't work.
Bad.
I saw it in a movie called Friday with Ice Cube.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that.
It's a great movie. It would make me laugh, but water on cereal is awful.
Yeah, he didn't have any milk for the cereal. He had ham, no burger. It's crazy.
It's a fun movie. I recommend you watch it.
You didn't get a part in that film, though, right?
No, I was upset. I'm white,
Chris.
Exactly.
So Christopher, how we've been talking to you a little bit about Satanism over the last few weeks and trying to see how your studies are coming along, and sometimes you're getting some things and some stuff not so much. How have your studies been coming since the last time we talked to you?
They've been coming along really well. I'm excited to be studying more and more of this wonderful religion, Satanism. It's great.
Yeah. All right.
I've been, someone reached out to me recently, Adam Campbell. It's a personal matter. We can't talk about it, but through him, he's been helping me.
Hey, he's a great guy.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's awesome. He's been telling me all kinds of wonderful things that help broaden my knowledge and which books to read.
Great. Sounds
cool.
good.
He didn't mention that. That's strange, but yeah, cool. Very cool guy. So what kind of things then? What kind of things have you been, learning recently?
I've been learning that we have one ring that rules us all. It's great.
Oh. Okay.
Wait. One ring, huh? Yeah, I don't remember Anton talking about that.
You told me that you can purchase a replica of the ring on iSatanist. That's great.
Oh man. Yeah. No. You might have another book mixed up again.
Besides ordering stuff through iSatanist, I still have not received my wand or owl.
So,
amazing products.
Thank you. So back to Satanism, the subject of
right.
discussion.
The ring is precious, and we have to make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Turn invisible and hide. It's good. I wish I had known about a magic ring to turn me invisible. I could go to the women's locker room. It'd be great.
What would you do there?
Watch. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, I don't really remember Anton talking about that too much,
no,
but
me neither.
I don't know.
Am I learning the wrong thing again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrong book.
Confusing, I think, is all. You're just kind of confusing. Maybe you should be only reading one book at a time.
It's hard. I have a library in the bathroom, like I mentioned, and I just grab what's over there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
If I get bored, I'll read the back of the shampoo bottle.
Yeah, it's definitely
Pro vitamins.
definitely stick to the Satanic Bible from the beginning to the end. Maybe twice, just to
to
sink
make
it in.
sure. I need to get a new bookmark from Robert Crow. Be great.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
If you're gonna mix up books, like you've been doing, maybe you can mix them up with other satanic books, like The Devil's Notebook, Satan Speaks, The Satanic
There are other
Witch,
books?
and especially the Satanic Scriptures.
Yeah.
Wow. The guy that's been helping me has not told me anything about that. Peculiar.
That is something to look into.
Yeah, maybe we can talk to Adam later about that. That's weird. Anyway, so you've been reading Lord of the
good to hear
Rings.
from me. Yes, it's about the Mordor and the fire of doom. It sounds very powerful.
It is powerful, but it's one of my favorites actually. But
Yeah, great book.
yeah.
It's amazing that this little hobbit type guy with hairy feet can accomplish so much. It's inspiring. Imagine what you could do with that power, as big as we are.
With Harry
And
Feet.
we have water and food to eat. We don't have to hunt. It's great.
But no soy milk though.
No, it's perplexing. I remember buying it, but don't remember using it. It was there. Now it's not. It's gone.
Darn.
This is going to be quite a project.
Yeah.
Projects are good. They help you set goals.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes those goals though seem to be one step forward, two steps back.
Like the song we talked about last time with Paula Abdul. The guy was like a cat. I remember.
That's right. Oh wow.
Oh man.
But I admit, he's got the moves. He can dance for a cat man. Better than the musical Cats. I mean, that sucked. It's awful.
Well, I've never seen it. I'm gonna take your word on that one.
Yeah. Me neither.
You should. It's terrible. It's as bad as Starlight Express.
It's terrible. Oh god.
It's as bad as Starlight Express trains on roller skates. It's dumb.
Oh shit.
Well, we're going to touch base with our mutual friend and see what might be going on here, and maybe try to nail down where you're kind of veering off to the left and to the right.
And there's more books too. I need to look those up. My friend didn't tell me there was more. He was telling me this and that and Mordor and rings and craziness and dwarfs. I mean, I've seen them at the carnival.
Well, I know Adam is into fantasy, but I'm sure he didn't mean for you to read those books while you're trying to read the Satanic Bible. So we'll
we'll look
I'm
into
sure it's just a misunderstanding that happens sometimes.
that.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, look. We'll maybe we'll touch base with you next week after we talk to Adam and see what we could probably figure out about all this.
It sounds fantastic. I wanted to say thank you for letting me be a part of such a noble quest. All of us, the one journey, forging friendships. It's great. Battling orcs. Love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
They should make a movie about it. It'd be fantastic.
I think they did.
None shall pass. Practice and hope I get the call for the role. It'd be great. Gando sounds like a great guy. I want to play him.
I think it's You Shall Not Pass.
I'm changing it. It's called improv. It sounds better when I say it the way I do.
None Shall Pass. I think that might be Monty Python, the Black Knight.
What is your name?
It's Christopher Walken. I thought we established that.
Wrong. Ah! Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not confuse him even more.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's right. All right.
Well, gentlemen, I'm sorry to disappoint you this time about where I'm at in my studies. I was working hard and reading a lot. I have to go back through my notes and figure out what went wrong. I'm quite disappointed in myself. Yow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll try to nail this down with you, and we'll get back to you on that. So
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of this. Don't worry.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
terribly painful. I feel bad. So much respect for you guys and what you're trying to do for me, and it's ow, it's painful.
Well, don't let it hurt too much. We'll figure out what's going on. But it was great talking to you again, and we will talk to you next week.
Absolutely.
Sounds amazing. I can't
right.
wait for us to embark on this new journey.
Okay, one book to rule them all.
That's right.
One book.
First you tell me there's multiple, now
And
there's
it is
only
precious.
No,
Precious, yes.
You should just stick to one book. At a
One
time.
book, all right. One book at a time sounds fantastic. I'm going to make sure it's the right one. You gents have a wonderful day. I'm off to Trader Joe's. So
Okay. All
All
right.
right. See you later, Mr. Walken.
And now you're drunk.
Boy, I tell you what, after appearing in front of all of my classmates on stage as this sadistic, kind of character, very, treating everyone real shabbily and sadistically, not to that too much in the ground, and then slapping this girl on stage. Really, I became just the sex target for so many women. There are so many girls in my class. Like, all of a sudden I was absolutely nobody, and then that was a real teaching moment for myself on human sexuality, and the power dynamic, and women's real what turns women really on.
All right, so this week on The Devil You Know, we're going back to having another musician involved, one who has already had a big part in this show. Who we got this week, John?
We have Warlock of the Church of Satan, Gyps Fulvus.
Yay! Hello, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, what's going on, man?
Not too much. I've just been keeping busy. Been very active with recording, performing music, getting a lot underway for the rest of the year, and there's a lot happening that I'm really proud of, and a lot of goals and milestones that are coming across that I would love to share with y'all.
Great, you sound like a Satanist.
Yeah. Well, we do have to say a very special thank you for the kick-ass intro music that you gave us. We loved having that the music, knowing that it's from you. So it's really cool to have you in that part of the show too.
You're very welcome.
Awesome.
You almost sound like this crazy pseudo Satanist that we had on here a couple weeks ago.
Wolf something, yeah.
Really? Oh
yeah,
shit.
some crazy people we had talking, but
Yeah, you sound very
Wow.
familiar.
That's pretty nuts. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of kooks out there, and I've encountered quite a few kooks in, I'd say, the last few months, especially since I got elevated back in July. I mean, I've had people friend requesting me on Facebook out of nowhere, asking me all these strange questions that, frankly, I'm not even close to willing to answer because, I mean, first of all, if you're on a journey to explore yourself as a Satanist, that should be something for you, the individual, to decide. You know, why would you go ask somebody else a question? You know, don't take my word for it. You know,
Right,
go to the fucking website, do your own research, and you figure it out.
so you think it's is there just like more collectors? So they say, you know, that are coming at you now that you're elevated.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, but like over the last couple of months, I've just seen a bigger influx of people just adding me out of nowhere, and you know, most of the time on Facebook, I'm pretty lenient with how I treat people, especially as a musician. I'm always willing to network and put my name out there and put my music out there. So I'm really not too biased with who I contact with, but once people start asking personal questions related to Satanism, the satanic philosophy, anything deeper that I'm not going to project online in my public persona, that's when I usually just tell them to go to the Church of Satan website, do their own research, just to get off my back completely if they're
Perfect.
depressed.
Yeah, I struggle with that myself sometimes because there's people that will want to add me that you know, one side of me says, hey, you know, you always have things you're selling, so you need to, you know, kind of say, yeah, cool, come on and check out. But then you see so many stupid things posted, and you're just like, your stupid questions or I don't know, just people that you just maybe I just feel like I don't really want to associate with, and I kind of struggle with that myself all the time. It's like, do I really want to let this person in, or can I just live without them? And
I get messages myself, like multiple every day. I mean, I can remember one guy, I think he's from Nigeria. His name's like Ugump Flack Smooth. I don't know what the heck that means, but he's always asking me, you know, how do I Satan join? What does that mean?
how do I Satan join?
Yeah.
They're out there. They're out there. Those.
I think they're Klingons.
What's been your main project that you've been working on lately?
Well, lately I've been very active with my band Dance Desaad. We've been performing and recording a lot, and we've been getting a very big fan base in New York City and New Jersey and in other states on the East Coast. And we're actually making a trip out to Los Angeles on New Year's to perform a few shows.
After I leave, of course.
Oh, yeah, and one of the shows, I mean...
I'm still going.
But we're playing with the LA Guns and Faster Pussycat at the Whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a great gig.
Out in the bathroom, wow.
That would be a kick-ass show, man.
Yeah, Marilyn and I are going out to see you guys, man, so backstage pass or some shit. I don't know, whatever.
No, it'll be a great time. It's gonna be a wonderful experience, and we're gonna have the album released by then. The debut's dropping. Right now, we're at that very final stage where everything's in the mastering process. So it's really like just a few finishing touches before we release it to the world, and you will all not be disappointed.
Nice.
Right on. Are you playing at the Whiskey for that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a kick-ass venue, man.
New Year's Day, and it's going to be great. And then we've got a few other shows lined up at a few other places. One at a tiki bar, and one at the famous Style Hut. But the LA Guns Faster Pussycat show, that's going to be the show to be at. So if any of you out there listening have not gotten tickets yet, visit the Facebook page for Dance Desaad and look for the New Year's Day LA Guns Faster Pussycat gig and get yourself a ticket.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
That's a kick-ass show, man. So, let me ask you about your musical influence. Obviously, I mean, you've got a lot of skill with playing, with composing. How long have you? Well, let's just go back to, as far as musically. How long have you been a musician? How long have you been playing?
I've been playing since I was 7 or 8 years old. I started playing piano as I was encouraged by my parents to take up an instrument, because I've had some natural talent that they've discovered with singing and just being able to play various things around the house. Like I'd always be banging pots and pans and just little things around, and I'd always be making up rhythms, singing songs, writing lyrics. And they noticed that I loved a lot of different types of music. They exposed me to lots of different various artists from the 70s and 80s at the time, and I was always watching MTV. Back when MTV was actually music television as opposed to the nonsense they're promoting nowadays.
Yes.
When they showed videos?
Yeah, when they actually showed...
When it was music television, yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, and so I took piano lessons for a few years, got bored until around 11 years old when I discovered a lot of the like punk and metal that was coming out of the 90s, and I decided to pick up guitar and take some lessons. So as I got deeper into my teens, I started getting deeper into metal and deeper into punk and deeper into hard rock from all different subgenres and spin-offs, and furthered my craft from there by taking lessons, teaching myself, just listening to songs and working on playing by ear. So for about a 5 or 6 year period, I was a metal snob, where I was listening only to metal, hard rock, anything aggressive with guitars, nothing else. Until I got to college, when I got into actually being a music major, where I told myself it's time to stop being very one-dimensional in my approach and start listening to other genres like classical or jazz, blues, and world music and other different soundtracks and film scores to tell them that it's not just all about metal, raw. It's just there's a talent out there with many different genres, and the best genre is what you should absorb yourself with. So so I started getting involved with bands over the years, playing locally and doing shows with many different bands, some of which were pretty good, some of which were disastrous. And in around 2010, I decided to create my own project, Gyps Fulvus, which is exclusively dedicated to making really scary music. I started off by making strictly ambient instrumental music, and further evolved into getting into deeper, harsher, more elaborate compositions, very much influenced by film scores and progressive rock.
So maybe this would be a good point to play for the audience, maybe a sample or a track that you're most proud of.
Yes, well, I'm going to share with you all one of my newest excerpts from my forthcoming release, which is called The Lich. And The Lich is a multi-part concept opus. It's one continuous long track divided into many excerpts, where the story involves a character who is assassinated, comes back as a lich, and seeks revenge on those who had him dead. And it turns out that one of those who had him dead is the person who he least expected. So it's very it's like one of those classic horror tales of mysterious tales of finding who murdered him and just taking the most brutal revenge on those who wrongfully put him in the ground.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Ignorance is beautiful in ugly minds, like fresh cadavers all around. Endless anger, oh this killer I must find, the one who put me underground. My empire follows me into the night, skeletons and ghosts of yesteryear, searching for the adversary I must fight. For betrayal, faith, and fear. Oh, I will find you and claim my long-due vengeance. Cowardly killer, callous backstabber, outnumbered, you have no defense. Approaching the quaint town in which I used to live, the streets are coated by the blood moon's shine. Nothing left to lose, thus I shall not forgive. My name will not be tainted, your heart will be
So would you say that then that I mean that sounds like you definitely have a lot of maybe progressive influence for long cuts, I guess, or concept albums?
Oh yes, yes. I mean, you could even go back to artists like King Diamond back in the '80s when he was making entire albums which were horror stories or ghost stories, and combining that element with symphonic black metal influences from Cradle of Filth, Dimmu Borgir, Emperor, as well as the more elaborate, more textured material from artists like Tangerine Dream, Yes, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Right on. Very cool, man.
Like the hodgepodge.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. I mean, that's a mark of a good musician is to be well rounded. And I think that's something I think all of us as musicians at some point in our younger years we're like only focused on one thing, and after a while, in order to become a better musician, you at some point recognize that I can't just listen to this. I have to find something else because my favorite musicians are inspired by other things.
Absolutely. And I always recommend going back to the original source from it all. Like when you listen to a modern musician or a current day composer, it's always better to trace their roots and go back to see what influenced them and inspired them instead of just focusing on the new. I mean, after all, one of the satanic sins is forgetfulness of past orthodoxies. So if you're to strictly focus on what's coming out now instead of tracing back further into the decades and the centuries to see what was the blueprint of what's surfacing nowadays, I mean, you're ignoring a huge glut of talented and wondrous musicians and artists for many years and centuries that should be taken into consideration.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
Creator.
So, Gyps, back when you were into the metal scene and things like that, were your parents resistant to that, or were they very supportive of that? How were they?
Initially resistant. I mean, coming from a family of my father was very much into Billy Joel, Elton John, a lot of 70s pop and that type of material. My mother was more into disco, Motown, soul, R&B from the 60s and 70s. Artists like Stevie Wonder and
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yes, exactly. They were huge disco heads in that regard. But when I started seeing me get into metal, they thought it was a one-way ticket to doing drugs and getting into crime and flunking out of school and just being a reckless, mischievous bastard. And no, none of that was true because I was a nerd in high school. I got straight A's. I played sports. I was the good kid, quote unquote, that stayed out of trouble and never really got into much. Never really got into much with anybody. I rarely got into fights. I rarely decided to mess with people. I never bullied anybody. So the fact that I was getting into extreme metal at that time was scaring a lot of people at many points. But
right.
After a while, they realized that since I'm really passionate about something and enjoying it without taking it to such extreme, I guess over time they became more accepting. I guess that's generally how it is too with the satanic philosophy, because when they first found the Satanic Bible and I was reading about Satanism, they flipped out. They were wondering if I was going to start killing animals, hurting babies.
Oh wow!
Doing things that were off the radar because think about it. Around when they were in their 30s, they lived through the era of the Satanic Panic when shows like Geraldo and Sally Jesse and all of this various talk shows like Phil Donahue, they were putting on these pseudo Satanists on the air that were spewing their bullshit. And but of course, my parents didn't know that because they weren't well versed in that. They came from a Catholic background and saw that they lived through the conservative era of the 80s, and they became more conservative as time went on. And over time, they've wised up and they've realized through my explanations to them that Satanism is not about ridiculous, irrational hedonism, but rather, an Epicurean, self-controlled philosophy dedicated to the self. They started to realize, okay, we don't agree with this, but we're okay with it. Do your thing, but just don't push it onto us. That's their mentality. I'm
how
okay
old
with
were
that.
you when you came upon the Satanic Bible?
I was 21, around that time, 2021, when I was in my sophomore year of college.
Late bloomer.
I was a staunch atheist around that time.
Yeah.
And I read it very skeptically, thinking this is just going to be another crock of shit like Wicca or fake magic or Buddhism. But when I read it, I was pleasantly surprised because it wasn't all of that. It was a lot more practical, a lot more secular, and very grounded, and very reasonable too. It didn't say go out and just cause reckless abandonment behavior. It didn't say just go out and do drugs and fuck anything that walks. It just said, live for the moment and indulge. Don't be compulsive, but indulge and embrace the here and now, because the here and now is all you have. And anything can end at any given moment in time. I mean, your life can end at the snap of a finger. So, don't think about that happening, but just absorb and enjoy and embrace as much in your life. So if that does happen, you have zero regrets.
Right. Did it ever say anything about, being an activist or erecting statues or anything like that?
No. I
didn't think so. Yeah.
No, I never really saw the need for any of that. Even with all of these supposed posers and these groups that pop up that try to espouse putting statues or public displays out in fields or doing things on, whereas it's almost like proselytizing.
Yeah.
I just find it to be ludicrous, and I find it to just be useless because, I mean, let's be honest, I wouldn't want to go down the street, walk around, and have somebody come up to me and start waving pamphlets in my face or telling me to go check out some statue. Because first of all, I mean, I'm busy. I have my own problems and my own daily activities to worry about. I don't want somebody else pushing their irrelevant bullshit onto me when I don't need it. And number three, if it's something that I don't stand for, which a lot of the herd view Satanism as a threat, then it's just going to create unnecessary confrontation. And I would never want to put myself in any unnecessary situation where I'm just going to provoke and poke bears, where I could just ignore all of that and just continue to live life and enjoy the most out of my own life.
Perfect.
Because, I mean, after all, it's all about worrying about yourself.
Yep.
I kind of feel like that, like proselytizing and evangelism, like that's all a sign of weakness, because it really seems like those religions are kind of telling themselves, the more people we get on our side, the less crazy it seems, and so they find comfort in having more people side with them. And I'm sure with these pseudo-Satanists, that's got to be what's going through their mind, is they know they're not taken seriously. So, of course, they're trying to evangelize with I guess proselytize more likely, to get more people involved so that they can say, see, we're a real religion. We're really doing something. We have all these people that are as stupid as we are.
Stupid is as stupid was.
Well, I think what happens is they take the term their strength in numbers to a level that's not within logic. I mean, granted, in the real world, in a lot of cases, especially in cases of survival, there is strength in numbers. But when it comes to ignorance, when it comes to idiocy, when it comes to moronic,
there's retard strength too.
Yeah, there's no real strength in numbers. It's just a bigger number of idiots gathering together to do something really stupid in a larger scale. I mean, I don't see them. I don't see them as a threat. I don't see any of them as a threat in the sense where Adolf Hitler came into power and look what happened to Nazi Germany. I see this more as just a bunch of time wasters taking up time, similar to how a bunch of protesters would get together during some big protest on the city streets while businesses are trying to operate and people are trying to get to their jobs, or people are trying to get to, I just look at them as, you're just another distraction. Get the fuck out of my way and just let me live my life.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sorry.
I have to edit that out, right?
Sure, yeah.
I'm not gonna.
You don't have to, really. If you heard our show, shit.
I will say, though, that, aside from all of that nonsense, aside from all of the detractors, the pseudos and the kooks and the undesirable people that pop up on social media, I mean, I have absolutely I have nothing to complain about whatsoever, because I feel like from all that I've read and gathered over the years, I think it's only helped me rather than held any bit of me back. But yet it hasn't changed anything about me significantly, because, I mean, when you go back and read the literature that LaVey wrote, you're not really expecting to have wondrous or magical things happen to you where all of a sudden your life's just going to jump 1,000 points. It's not some shitty program. Right. You get out of what you put into it on your own doing, and everything that you do, for better or worse, whether it leads to success or utter failure, it's all on you.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Individualism, and a lot of these pseudos, they don't get that. That just flies right over their head. They think, well, if we band together and we hold hands, and they actually believe in something so stupid as called the satanic community, they figure, oh, it'll be better this way if we all do it. Kumbaya.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, they feel like if they got enough of them, that it's that's what they say, that the difference between a cult and a religion is the amount of people involved. So the more people you get to back you up, and you of course that's a great way to lure the weak-minded in, is to say, well, you could be part of our family, and then of course that gets them to jump. But I mean, I just think that for them it just makes them feel like they're more accomplished just by having numbers, same as Christians are, I mean, the more people you get to, like you could walk outside and point to any inanimate object. You can find a pile of dog shit on the ground and say, this is my God. And that's crazy. But once you get 1,000 people that believe in that same piece of shit is a God, now you've got a cult. And if you get, good 50,000 or more, you're bordering on a religion, so.
Yeah, I mean, and all it really takes is one good idea in their minds, or just one bad misfortunate event, or just one happening, or one notion for one person to take advantage of, especially if it's something that just happened that's enough to create a sensation in the media, especially if it's one story. If one person jumps on it and has enough backing themselves to allow themselves to get other people on their side, and to push it forward in a sense where it can make them famous, or it can make them money, or it can somehow further their own career, people will do it. I mean, it could also be argued that entertainers do the same thing, like actors, musicians, writers, and political figures. I mean, there's such a thing where it's a matter of gaining as much behind you as possible to further you, to have more people believe you for your own benefit, which I don't see anything wrong with inherently, especially if you're trying to make money off of the herd. But if you're part of the herd, if you know the man behind the curtain, and you're going to believe the shit that happens in front of the curtain, then you're a fucking fool.
But why Satanism? Why do you think they chose Satanism to repackage and put a pretty new title on it and call it modern Satanism and all this other fucking horse shit? Why?
Well, they read the Satanic Bible and they see a few good ideas out of it, but they just can't grasp the fact, and they don't understand the fact that it's atheistic, secular, and completely grounded in reality. They want to escape their reality, and yet they want to tack on the word Satan because they want their boogeyman. They don't want to live as if there's a man behind the curtain pulling the strings. They want to believe in the great and powerful Oz that's up on top of the big curtain on the auditorium. They want their big powerful Oz. They want their boogeyman. They want their ghosts in the closet. They want all of the little trappings that they see on the Hollywood movies to come out and do their dirty work for them, because they're either too afraid or too unwilling to go out and fucking do it themselves, or they just want to get stoned out of their mind with psychedelic hallucinogenic bullshit, so they can float outside their fucking bodies and attain a greater, higher awareness when they could just rather just live their fucking lives in a more straightforward, rational manner, enjoying things in the here and now that actually get you real material benefit or genuine fulfillment, that doesn't leave you in a fucking cesspool of false hope and an idealism that just holds you back and just drives you face down into the ground.
I'd be curious to find out how many people from some of these pseudo-satanic groups, like how many people high up and who have helped start these organizations are people who were detractors, who were once members of COS and they never got their pat on the back, so they said, well, I'm leaving and starting my own thing, like I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, they'd probably do that because they fail to meet the demands. They're not living in the outside world. They're not doing anything successful. Like, they're not living for themselves. They're living to, like I said, they're living in a collectivist mindset. Let's be a community. Make me a priest so I can bring people together and we could all go around and light bonfires and do our magical rituals, and maybe some figure will pop out of the fire so we'll all go home and we'll all be able to lose 50 pounds, get laid, and have a great time.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way though. If you aren't getting laid or getting what you want in your everyday life, Satanism isn't going to help you in that manner, especially if you're standing in front of a mirror of black candles. That's not going to get you anything. You might as well just pick up a phone and call an escort if you want to get laid.
Yeah.
Or if you want to get drunk, go to a bar and get slammed. Or if you want to lose 50 pounds, pick up a fucking set of dumbbells and start lifting weights. I mean, that's more magical than standing in front of a mirror of black candles going, ooh, let's call on the dark fortresses. Be realistic. I mean, we look at lesser magic and greater magic, and they're very useful. I mean, but aside from all that, you still have to make your effort in order to get what you want. Action is what speaks louder than any words can say.
So, I see a lot of this crap and this drivel online about, the COS doesn't do anything. It hasn't done anything. We're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing this. How does that make you feel as a productive and real Satanist?
You know what? The COS itself doesn't have to do anything. It is what it is, and it's on its own. Us as the individual Satanists, it's up to each individual's responsibility to do something. The organization is there as a cabal for all of us to join as individuals, to put our own stamp on the satanic philosophy, and to bring forth what each of us can contribute and give a nod to LeVay's legacy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's probably... I'm not the most eloquent in explaining how that is, but, if you're expecting some organization to do all the work for you, then you're a lazy fucking scumbag, in my opinion.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that is the point of I guess, like, if you look at the Church of Satan as just the organization itself, you're looking at the wrong thing. If you're looking at all of the individuals, we're running the show. We're doing all kinds of stuff. So,
Exactly.
but I think they need to tell themselves that, though. I think that's something that is important for them to establish their own legitimacy, at least in their own mind, and to gather more followers and other people who are not productive. Because again, we're talking about organizations they're going to base themselves in numbers. So they're going to try to make us look less legitimate than them by numbers, by gaining a whole bunch of non-productive people who are joiners, and say, well, you guys aren't doing anything. Look at us. We got thousands and thousands of other goths gone wild joining our group, and
You know what happens though when you have a million of people running amok, not knowing what the hell they're doing, cramped into one space. I mean, you know what happens? Somebody could drop a stink bomb or drop a gas bomb or drop something like a tear bomb or something, and everybody's fucked because no one knows what the hell they're doing. I mean, proverbially speaking, that's what these people are setting themselves up for. They're setting themselves up a proverbial tear bomb to just hit at any given time. They'll all scatter like a bunch of sheep afterwards, crying, wah, 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 where's my thing? How come we're not getting attention? How come we're not making things happen? How come, let's fight the system. Let's get back and fight the system. Fuck that shit. Be yourself. Be an individual. Do your own thing. Set your own goals. Set your own path. Achieve that path, and just lead by example. And those who watch and those who get it will not necessarily follow your footsteps, but at least they'll do something in their own footsteps to let the world know that, yes, I am a Satanist and that I'm doing my thing and I'm worshiping myself. And you don't have to follow me, but don't expect me to follow you either.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. They just don't get it. I think that's you hit the nail on the head right there. They just don't get it.
Yeah, and do we really want them to get it too? I mean,
No.
do you really want
No.
them to get it?
LeVay even said, about there's Satanists and there's nuts. He likes that these sort of things happen because it just weeds them out. We don't want them in our ranks. We don't want them in this organization. So they tend to show themselves and show their true light, and
Exactly.
sticks that ridiculous label on themselves.
It's like those people that join a karate organization or any other organization where they say, oh, I'm joining because I want to get it. Sorry, there's a bunch of commotion going downstairs. I gotta pause.
All right.
What's going on?
Sounds awesome.
Okay. So,
is the pseudo getting his ass kicked? What's going on?
I hope so. But anyway, I was saying it's almost like you get the pseudo hopeful that joins the organization and they say, "Oh, I want to become a priest." It's almost like the person going into a karate school going, "Oh, I want a black belt." But you have to do the work before you get the belt. You have to do the work before you get the title. And if you ask, how do I get the priesthood certificate? It's not my position to ask that because I'm not a spokesperson. But at the same time, go fuck yourself if you're joining an organization just looking for a piece of paper as a title.
Yeah,
you know, if you want a title,
exactly.
If you want a title, go to your fucking carnival, like put the coins in and put your name on it, and there's your title. Now go wipe your ass with it.
Right.
That's funny. It says a satanic temple on it. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And I can only assume that that's kind of how they do some of these other organizations is I don't know, like how they make up their titles or how you achieve them, but I'm sure it's through, you know, by doing this and this you get this title, and you know, or maybe it's how much money you donate. I don't know.
Even worse than that, though, and I want to bring up something else into the conversation too. Neo-pagans. What the fuck is up with neo-pagans? Seriously. I can't think of a bigger thorn in my side than these fucking neo-pagans that take themselves so seriously, and they take their magical duties so seriously, and every time they speak about magic, it's always with the fucking K, and they collect fucking thousands of different forms of incense. They walk out into the woods, and they get depressed that, you know, life isn't working out for them. Maybe they should put the fucking spiritual nonsense down and maybe actually start living life and actually doing something that doesn't involve maybe playing Warcraft or playing Dungeons and Dragons, and maybe actually living in the real world, in the real here and now, doing actually carnal, real things to make you feel better instead of doing a bunch of bullshit.
Well, that's one of the things that I find so amusing with any religion, white light religion, or you know, whether it be these neo-pagans, whether it be Christian, whether it be anything, is the audacity to look at one of the other ones and go, well, they're crazy, you know, like you know, and that's how my Christian family will look at you know, Mormons, or they'll look at like I said, you know, anything pagan with it and go, their beliefs are really crazy. Like, really, you believe in a water walking zombie Jew who lives in your heart, and they're crazy? You know, like I don't get how anybody can, you know, it's all ridiculous. It's all fucking stupid.
Exactly. It goes back to the chapter of magic, the book of Belial in the Satanic Bible. Think about the student of psychology who has all the answers, passes all the tests, but can't make any friends. That's how I look at that neo-pagan fluff. They're the people that have all the answers, can recite all these huge $64 billion vocabulary words, yet really have nothing to say, nothing to offer to the public. And they wonder why they have no friends. They wonder why nobody likes them. They wonder why they can't keep a job. They wonder why they quit school. You know, it's just a bunch of shit. It's a bunch of nonsense.
It's everyone else's fault.
Exactly. They love
it's everyone's bad energy.
Maybe they should listen to that old Chinese proverb or Buddhist proverb. Remember, when you point one finger at someone, there's three fingers pointing back at you. Like that. Maybe they should listen to their own proverb and get their heads out of their asses.
Awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate the going off on a little tangent there and giving us your thoughts on that. That was awesome. But let's get back to Gyps. Tell us more about the man, the myth, Gyps Fulvus.
All right. Well, Gyps Fulvus came into inception in 2010 when I released my debut album, Nocturnes for Nightmares, on Halloween, which means this year is the 5th anniversary of Nocturnes for Nightmares.
Nice.
That first album, Nocturnes, is it's a collection of 12 different tracks, each of which are instrumental, and they fall into the dark ambient, dark classical vein. So a lot of it's reminiscent of 70s and 80s horror movies and film scores, and some of the creepier video games of that time period. Yeah. And you know, I was influenced a lot by movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, a lot of the Stephen King movies of that time, Bernard Herrmann's Psycho. Just a lot of that mixed in with some industrial overtones became Nocturnes for Nightmares, and nice. It's a very spooky Halloween feeling record. I wanted to create that and capture that, so you know, I'd be able to circulate that amongst those who love horror. And I actually did end up in a video game with that game, by a fellow Satanist named Twisted Genius, who has a game called Twisty's Asylum Escapades on his website, twistedgenius.net. And some of my material from that album, Nocturnes for Nightmares, is featured in that game.
Very
Nice.
cool. Very cool.
Right on. I remember when that first came out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I released a second album, Invocations, in 2012 on Friday the 13th, April that month, and that album took a more industrial approach, a harsher overtone, as I was getting more into the movies like Saw and Hostel, a lot of the torture films of that era, and more Nine Inch Nails influences came to the forefront on that record, and I started to keep the same horror overtones intact, but took a little harsher approach with Invocations. But I really feel like I hit my mark on my third album, which came out this year, my double album, Gyps Fulvus 3, Reflections, Revelations, and Roads Less Taken, which is my first album to feature lyrics, vocals, and have an even bigger plethora of guests, which include Reverend or Magistra Bill M., Aaron Mantle from Satanic Storytime, and Warlock Robert Luthold. So it became a very powerhouse album, and a bigger number of influences and genres appear on that album, which include like gent, drum and bass, industrial, electronic death metal, symphonic black metal, progressive, and I feel like that was where I really hit the stride. But the next album release I'm working on is going to take it even further into the symphonic progressive territory,
Nice.
which is called The Lich, and that involves a story, like I said, about a man who was assassinated and comes back to life as a lich, and gets revenge on all the people behind it, as well as the person who was behind the whole assassination, who turns out it's one individual who he least expects. So there's a lot of intricacy in that album, but I'm releasing two versions of the album, one of which is going to be an instrumental version, so the listener can interpret the story himself, or they can listen to the version with vocals, so they can absorb and read the actual story that actually happened. So there's two different interpretations of the same story, and some of the music is going to be varied from each album, so you're not getting the same exact music on each release. There's going to be a couple of variations, a couple of things in a different sequence, so it's like you're really getting more than just the same fucking music on both discs.
Yeah, that sounds very
That's
interesting.
cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
So when you come up with your music, do you especially an instrumental piece, let's say, do you have an idea of a direction or a story that you want the music to tell, or do you start off by coming up with music and then basing it around, after I've written the music, here's what it feels like?
I've tried both approaches, and both have worked very well in their own rights. In this case, I came up with the story first, and am writing the music based around the story, and I'm writing each section based on what event of the story is taking place. So if I think of the event, a certain event happening in the middle of the story, I'll make a song that reflects that event and come up with different chords or different passages based on that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of same phrases and patterns that are going to be repeated throughout certain sections of the whole entire opus. That are
which is usually a mark of a good concept album. Is it's basically kind of bringing up parts to basically connect it all, right?
Yeah, but some parts will be in different keys, or some parts will be major, some parts will be augmented or diminished, instead of following the same traditional pattern every time. So you're going to see a lot of different things tweaked throughout.
Very cool.
And that's why I'm going to make the whole release for each album. I'm not going to make separate tracks. It's going to be one continuous long track. So you're going to listen to it for 45 minutes. And if you want to hit the different section, you have to actually fast forward to that section, hear that section. I'll let the listener decide whether they want to listen to either one, and it'll be up to them to interpret it and leave their own impressions and feedback. So it'll be up for free streaming in December, and then the 2-disc set will be out later.
Awesome.
Very cool. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
All right.
So, out in the world, are you an out Satanist? Do you don any Baphomet and things like that, or are you pretty hidden?
No, I'm generally not very out. I'm only out to those who I tell, and most of the time I feel like it's really nobody's business to know. Like no one especially in the New York metropolitan area, nobody really gives a shit anyway. Like you tell someone you're a Satanist, they're like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so okay, back to the real
They're like,
world."
yeah, I saw a rat dragging pizza, so
Yeah, it's almost like nobody cares, and that's kind of a good thing because people stay off your back. It's more like people judge you in this area by your attitude, by your actions, and occasionally you get a few conservative kooks here and there, especially if those of the older generation who will be turned off. But for better or worse, I don't feel like I feel the need to evangelize or tell people because I don't want to be that person who's like the born again Christian or the outspoken Jew that talks always about their religion and has to sneak religion into every fucking conversation.
Right.
It's almost like the annoying person who's into politics or the annoying I just became a vegan type person or whatever.
Right.
It's like,
I hate those people.
Yeah.
I respect anyone who's of that nature. I respect people who are into politics. I expect people who are passionate about their things. Whether I don't care what you are, but if you're going to open your mouth about it and sneak into every single conversation, that just means you're annoying and you're just going overboard. And honestly, I don't want to be that person. So that's why I keep my religion under wraps and. I try to, when I talk to people, I want to talk about things that, we could all agree on, especially on the workplace. We talk about movies, you talk about just music, about life, about things we could all agree on and enjoy. Leave religion and deeper philosophical and political issues out of the conversation. That's how you make more acquaintances and keep more friends and not be that annoying person that when you leave the room, they start talking shit about you and start fucking you over behind your back.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Awesome. So, Gyps, we asked this of all our guests. We've got some pretty diverse answers so far. What does Satan mean to you?
Satan's a symbol of liberty, a symbol of being able to express yourself and live your life and how you want to live it without really giving a fuck about what anyone else thinks, but doing it in such a way that doesn't make you look like a fool and doesn't make you look like a clown. Doing it in a way that allows you to gain respect from others rather than ridicule.
I like that answer.
Yeah, me too.
That's an answer. Right on, man.
That's good.
Gyps, any other projects maybe that we don't know about that you got coming up that you want to talk about at all?
I've got a lot in the works. I mean, some of which I don't really feel like I need to discuss right at this moment because right now I'm just really busy with focusing on the Dans de Sade album, getting that released and getting our future touring and gigging schedule underway, as well as my own material for Gyps Fulvus that I'm composing. I mean, I do other projects on commission, and I also do a lot of other things related to licensing music and letting people use music or creating music for podcast shows, films, and sort of. But like I said, I'm not spreading myself too thin, and I'm not putting myself or the cart before the horse. So, if things do come up, I will definitely keep those out there updated, and we'll be posting it on social media to give you a better idea of what I'm up to. But if any of you want to follow me on social media, just find me on Facebook at Gyps Fulvus. Visit my website www.gypsfulvus.net, and you can keep up with me on all I'm doing.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Wow, that answers the next question then.
Right, yeah. That's awesome.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you very much, Gyps, for being here, and we appreciate having you be not only as a guest, but I mean, obviously, you are part of the show now, and
Yeah.
we look forward to having you on in other ways and talking to you again and see where you're going. And God damn it, I'm really still pissed off that you guys finally coming out here right after I'm leaving, but I will catch you guys again. I can't wait to see you guys. Your show is so cool. It's so fun, and your solo music is amazing, and we're just glad to have you here, man.
Yep, I'll be out there. I'll be out there to see you in LA on New Year's. So I mean, yeah. I'll be there.
Well, thank you so much. It's going to be a great time, and yes, we will be in Florida too at one point next year. So be on the lookout. We'll surprise you with any dates. But like I said, we'll surprise you. Nothing's set in stone yet. But once we do hit up certain parts of the country, those gigs will pop up, and we will invade, and we will put on a rock and roll show.
Nice.
Kick ass. Yeah, right on, man. All right. Well, thanks a lot for being here, Gyps, and hail Satan, sir.
Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Well, another kick-ass show comes to a close, John.
Yeah, and that sounded really exciting when you said that too. You're like,
Well,
well,
hey,
no,
how about a really great show? Yeah.
say it with feeling. No.
Hail Satan! Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
You're like, well, it was another kick-ass show. No, that's funny. Anyway.
All right, so another great show, John.
Yes.
Episode 5 is out. So, of course, we got to say thanks once again to Christopher Walken. Wow.
Wow is an understatement.
Wow. That's all I can say. That's all I can ever say. Wow. Yep. The musical genius, Gyps Fulvus.
Yeah. Great interview.
Yeah, man.
Interesting guy, man. People should really check out his stuff. He's
yeah, and he's got a lot to offer, and you can, between, of course, a lot of his solo stuff, he's great at cranking out some amazing stuff. So definitely check him out. Great music.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we had fuck, dude, I'm brain fart.
You hit, now you're drunk.
Yeah, now I'm drunk. That's funny.
Next week, though.
Next week, I'm excited.
It's gonna be it could be the best show yet.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really excited to have her on. Everyone knows her. Your mom and mine. Magistra. Peggy Nadramia. High Priestess of the Church of Satan. It's going to be great. Look forward to that. Everybody tune in. Or as she said earlier, you're going to be going to heaven. So you don't want that.
Watch out. Watch out. So.
All right, everyone have a good time.
Yeah,
kick
ass.
Next week. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Devil You Know podcast at thedevilyouKnowpodcast.com. Make sure you call our sound off line at 602-368-3166. Again, that's 602-368-3166. The secret word of the week, Shemham Farash.